In this tutorial, we are going to design this modern sign-up screen from scratch in Figma. I will show you how to create the layout, font fields, typography, spacing, and CTA to make the interface feel clean and professional. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to pick a frame. I'm going to pick iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max this way. And I'm going to go to my right panel and preview it as I want to see how it's going to appear on a mobile phone as I'm designing live. So I'll go back to the right panel and bring in a layout guide, make the margin 24 this way. Okay, so I'm going to pick a rectangle and then I'm going to draw it over this way and give a top corner radius here 50. I'm going to give this also 50. Okay, so I want a picture to be at the background here, an illustration. So I'm just going to paste an illustration I copied already. So I'll just bring this to the front this way and drag it a little down this way. All right, then I want to have a status bar, so I'll go to my right panel, go to asset, just type in a status bar, and I'll just drag the iPhone status bar this way, okay, to my design this way. Then I'll go back to my right panel here and make sure it is centered this way. Okay, so I'm going to make this to be pure white this way, like this. Okay, so the next thing is to bring in a text, so something like create your account this way. Okay, so something like this. All right, so I'm going to increase the font size of this and make it 24 here, like this. And then I'm just going to drag it to the top. Okay, we have to have this at the top this way, so I'm just going to drag it this way to the top here, like this, and I'm going to make sure it is well centered this way. Okay, then I'll duplicate this and give a sub text, something like sign up to get started. Okay, so something like this. And that also, I'm going to reduce the size of this because it is a subtext. Okay, and I'm going to move it from bold to somewhere medium, and then also change the color from pure white to this, something like this. Okay, so bring a distinction between the header and the subtext, and then I'm just going to center it this way. So I'll select the 2 and apply auto layout, Shift+A. Okay, and then give it a gap of 8. We are using the 4-point system, so multiples of 4. So I'm going to give it a gap of 8 and make sure everything is well centered. All right, so the next thing here, I want to bring in the social buttons instead of the name field first. I want to bring in the social buttons first. So I'm going to go with sign up with Google. Okay, something like this. Okay, and I'm going to make this bold since it's going to be a button. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is to go to my plugins and go to a plugin I normally use most of the time, Iconify, this way, and then I'm going to pick the Google icon this way. So I'm just going to drag it here. Okay, let's drag that again, and I'm going to use the Apple too, so let me just drag that also at once here. All right, so I'm just going to drag the Google here and then select the text and Shift+A this way. Okay, so you can see the 2 are here. So I'm just going to give it increase the height, all right, to 56 this way, and then give it a complete rounded corner radius of 999 this way. So I'll just drag it to the start where my layout is ending this way. Okay, so I'm going to put this at the center this way and then give it a fill this way. So the fill color, I'm going to use something like EF. So something like this. Okay, so let's make this appear well this way. Okay, so I'm just going to move this to the top somewhere here. Okay, then Control D, so that I'll just change the text here and the icon. So this time around it's going to be sign up with Apple this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag the icon, Apple icon here. Okay, then I'll delete that off the Google to replace it. So I'm going to select these two, apply an auto layer, Shift plus A, and give it a distance of 20 this way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to duplicate this since I don't want to do everything from the scratch this way. Okay, then here I'm going to use the socials. I'm going to delete the socials, sorry. So I'm going to now design the input fields, okay, for the name, etc. And here I'm also going to pick the icons. Okay, so here I'm going to pick profile this way, then I'm going to drag it here. Okay, then the next one I'm going to pick is email. Okay, so I'm going to also drag an icon to this side, and the next one is password. All right, so something like this to this side, and then the I for revealing the password or hiding it this way. Okay, so I have something like this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to drag one of this, so the icon here, there, to replace this. I'm just going to delete this one this way. Okay, but then we cannot have this to be the same as the social icons, so I'm going to do some changes. I'm going to give it a stroke. All right, so reduce that to something like this, and then the fill color to, you have to also reduce it a little bit, so something like this. Okay, so to bring a kind of distinction, let's increase this a little. Okay, and then we are going to make this palm from the start this way, and then we give it a padding here, something like this, and reduce the distance between the icon and the text. Okay, so with that also we are going to change this. Since it's an input field, we have to reduce this color here, the black. Okay, so yeah, so something like this. Okay, so before we continue this, we have to bring in or to let the user know that they can use this or use this. Okay, so I'm just going to center this and bring in some line just to distinguish between the two this way. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the color of that. Okay, so something like this, and reduce this to 0.5 this way. Then I'm going to duplicate this here and have it here. Let me pull this one, select this, then Shift plus A this way, Okay, then I'll just center this. Okay, so a distance between this and this, I'm going to give it a distance of 28. Then 28 should be better. 28 this way. Okay, then here as well, a distance of 28. All right, so let's continue with the placeholders here. All right, so what I'm going to do is to duplicate this. Okay, and then I will now bring the email icon here. I'll just drag it here, and then I'll delete the icon for the profile here. So instead of the full name here, I'm going to change it to email. All right, for the user to put in his or her email. And then we have to change the color of the email, so it has this color here. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'll go back here, locate the black color, and then change it this way. So Control D again, and I'll center it, and then I'm going to change the email to password. Okay, this time around to password, and then I'm going to bring in the password icon, and then delete this one here. Okay, and then also change the black color of the icon to the placeholder colors that I'm using. All right, then the next thing is to bring this one here. Okay, let it be somewhere here this way. Okay, all right, so something like this. Okay, so this okay, this we want it to be the same, so Shift plus A. Okay, and then we give it a distance of 20 this way. Okay, so let's bring this back in here. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to bring in the button. Okay, so here we are going to have a sign up button this way. Shift plus A to put an auto layout there, and then the height we are going to make it 56 to bring in some consistency, and the corner radius too, we are going to make it 999 for complete corner radius. Then I'm just going to drag it this way to make sure it is straight on this. Okay, that is one thing the layout guide does. It helps us with alignment. And then let's fill in that here. All right, so I'm just going to pick the sample color icon here, and then go here. I want this color. Okay, so I want to bring some branding, and then I'll change the black to white. Okay, so as you can see, we have here. So let's bring in this here. Okay, so let's make this 4. Okay, and make it this. So 0 here, and okay, I think we should reduce this to 3. Okay, so here we have it. Now let's drag it down a little. Okay, or bring it down a little this way. Yes, so here we have it here, and that's our finished sign up screen. If you enjoy this designing, if you enjoy designing this with me, subscribe, because every Tuesday we are building another practical UI UX project in Figma. So we can switch off the layout guide by clicking on this, and then going to the layout guide, and then clicking on the icon here, and then everything looks perfect this way. See you in the next one. Bye.